start with chapter humidity. Humidity means the dampness, that is, air contains the water vapor or the moisture, and as we measure that dampness or the water vapor, what is the amount of water vapor contained in air, that is called as humidity. So humidity is measure of dampness of atmosphere. Okay, it is measure of dampness of atmosphere. It means how much water vapor is contained in atmosphere or how much moisture is contained in atmosphere. Okay, so how we can measure? It can be measured as absolute humidity. And what do we mean by absolute humidity? It means what is the actual amount of water vapor. Water vapor. Okay, what is the actual amount of water vapor in air? Okay, that denotes the uh, absolute humidity. And what will be its units? Its unit will be gram per meter cube. Okay, so what we are doing, we are taking 1 meter cube of air, volume of 1 meter cube of air, and how much water vapor does this air contains, that will give us the absolute humidity. So it is measured in grams per cubic meter of air. Okay, so how much amount is of water vapor is being contained, how much actual amount of water being contained in 1 meter cube of air at particular place at particular time, that is called as absolute humidity. Okay, and this humidity, it varies from place to place. It is different from place to place as well. It varies from time to time. That is, it is different at morning, it will be different in afternoon, in evening it will be different. So it keeps on varying from place to place and keeps on varying from time to time. Humidity, that is amount of water vapor contained in atmosphere. Okay, this is our absolute humidity. But mainly for weather studies, we use relative humidity. Mainly the term that is being used for weather studies, that is relative humidity. And we'll be concentrating on this relative humidity term. Relative humidity, it will be in relation to something that is, so relative humidity, it's a ratio. Relative humidity is ratio. So I'm denoting relative humidity with RH. Okay, relative humidity RH. So how relative humidity is defined? It is a ratio. It is a ratio. And see here, what will be written in numerator? It will be the actual amount of water vapor present. It will be the actual amount of water vapor present in air. Present in air at that time. Okay, divided by maximum amount of water vapor it can hold. Air can hold at that temperature. Okay, so see here, what we are doing, we are taking air, what amount of water vapor it is containing. At present, what amount of water vapor it is containing, we are writing in numerator. Okay, and we are dividing it by what maximum amount of water vapor it can hold. That is its maximum limit to hold the water vapor. What maximum amount of water vapor it can hold at that particular temperature. Okay, so we took the air, it is at particular temperature. What actual amount of water vapor it is holding, we write in numerator, and we divide what maximum it can hold. What maximum it can hold at that temperature, we are writing in denominator. So this ratio is relative humidity, and it is mainly denoted in percentage. It is mainly denoted in percentage. Okay, we can convert this ratio in percentage, that you all know. So this is mainly denoted in percentage. Okay, so for example, the air is containing, okay, if I write it like this, if relative humidity is 50%, if relative humidity is 50%, what does it mean? It means that the air is containing half of the moisture, half of the total water vapor of which it can hold. So it is containing half of the total amount, that is half of the maximum amount it can hold. Okay, at present, if it is written 50%, it means 50% relative humidity means it is holding half of the maximum amount of water vapor it can hold. Maximum amount of water vapor it can hold. It's half part it is holding. Half of that moisture it is holding. Okay. If I write it like this, 80%, it means the air at present is holding 4/5 of the maximum amount of water vapor that it can hold. It is holding 4/5 of the maximum amount of water vapor it can hold. So it is containing 4/5 of the maximum amount of water vapor that it can hold. Understood this one? 50%, 80%. This is how relative humidity is being defined. And this is being used mainly. In weather studies, we use relative humidity, not absolute humidity. Understood this ratio? So, if relative humidity increases, it means it is holding more moisture. Okay, that we'll discuss afterwards. Okay. So, and see here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please write a bit larger.
Okay. And see here, if cold air is there, cold air, mainly we have seen cold air as dry air, and warm air as moist. Mainly we have seen this one. So cold air, it can hold less moisture. Mainly cold air holds less moisture. Warm air, it has more capacity to hold the moisture. So it may be moist. Okay, always remember this one. Cold air has less capacity to hold the moisture. Cold air has less capacity to hold the moisture. Warm air has more capacity to hold the moisture. That is, warm air can hold more amount of water vapor as compared to cold air. Okay, next point we have to discuss. Okay. So relative humidity formula, we'll be using it most. Actual amount of water vapor present divided by maximum amount of water vapor it can hold at that temperature. So relative humidity varies with temperature. It will vary with temperature because maximum amount of water vapor that air can hold varies with temperature. So if it is cold air, it will have less capacity. That means temperature is less, it will have less capacity to hold the moisture. Whereas warm air, temperature will be high, it has more capacity to hold the moisture. The maximum amount of water vapor that warm air can hold is more as compared to cold air. As compared to cold air. So as the air gets warmer, the maximum amount of water vapor that it can hold increases. Always remember this. As temperature increases, that is, as air is getting warming, as air is getting warmed, as air is warming, the maximum amount of water vapor that it can hold increases. Maximum amount of water vapor it can hold increases with increasing temperature. Okay. So cold air has less capacity to hold the moisture. Warm air has more capacity to hold the moisture. Okay. Now we'll be using this. So see here, for example, ground surface, we are having some air. Okay. We're having some air and consider the relative humidity as 30%. Okay. So air is holding 30% of the moisture what it can hold at that particular temperature, and take temperature as 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, relative humidity is 30%, and temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Now see here, as this air rises, what will happen? It will expand. As the air rises, it expands. As it expands, and we already know pressure decreases as with the height. Pressure decreases with height. Pressure decreases, air expands. Air expands, then air gets cooled, adiabatically cooled. Expansion leads to cooling. So air expands, temperature decreases. Okay. Now as temperature decreases, maximum amount of water vapor it can hold also decreases. So relative humidity increases. Denominator decreases, relative humidity increases. So here, for example, relative humidity at this time, relative humidity be 70%. Okay. Temperature take it as 15 degrees Celsius. Understood this one? So as temperature decreases, right? As temperature decreases, relative humidity increases. As temperature increases, relative humidity decreases. They are inversely related. Okay. So relative humidity increases as temperature decreases. Remember this one. Okay. These are very important. We'll be using this. And how? See here, as temperature, as we are going with height, as temperature decreases, air is getting cooled, and cool air has less capacity to hold the moisture. So maximum amount of water vapor that air can hold at the particular temperature decreases. Temperature decreasing, denominator decreases. Okay. Actual amount of air that it is holding remains same. So relative humidity increases. So as air is getting cooled, relative humidity is increasing. Understood this one? Okay. So what is happening? Air from the Earth's surface, it is rising. It's, for example, its relative humidity at this present place and time, it is 30%, and temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. As it rises, it expands. As it expands, temperature decreases. Temperature decreases, relative humidity increases. So, for example, at this height, relative humidity is 70% and temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. Now, further, this air rises, and for example, here at this height, again it expands, cools, again temperature decreases, and this time, for example, relative humidity becomes 100%, and temperature, take it anything 2 degrees Celsius, 1 or -2, any temperature you can take. So I'm taking 2 degrees Celsius. Okay. So what is happening here now? See here, relative humidity becomes 100% and temperature is 2 degrees Celsius. So as relative humidity becomes 100, it means actual amount of water vapor is same as the maximum amount of water vapor it can hold. It has reached its threshold. It has reached the limit. This air has reached the limit. What amount of water vapor it can hold. Okay. Now see here what happens. So when the relative humidity becomes 100%, this air is called as saturated. It is saturated with water vapor now. It is completely saturated with water vapor. So this air will be called as saturated. It is saturated with water vapor and the air temperature that will be called as dew point. And the temperature at which air gets saturated, that temperature is called as dew point. So this temperature will be called as dew point. It will be 2 degrees Celsius, for example, here. So dew point it has reached. Now see here, further cooling. If any further cooling, what will happen? This water will get converted into water droplets. This water vapor get converted into water droplets, that is dew. This water vapor will get converted into water droplets. So small water droplets will start to form. Further cooling, below the dew point, these water vapor will get converted into small droplets. Okay. And now see here, these droplets will be very, very small size, 1,000th of the centimeter, or more less than that. So these water vapors, they will float in air, they will get suspended in air, they will remain suspended in air, and they will float with air. Okay. So these suspended these suspended water droplets. These are called as clouds. This is how clouds are formed. Okay, understood this one? So we have discussed humidity, absolute humidity we discussed, then relative humidity we discussed, and relative humidity depends on temperature. Okay, how it depends? Temperature decreases, relative humidity increases. Temperature increases, relative humidity decreases. As temperature increases, air is getting warmed. As air gets warmed, the maximum amount of water vapor that it can hold also increases. As it increases, relative humidity decreases. So and then we discussed the saturation when relative humidity becomes 100%. And now it is going to rain. Okay, clouds are formed, dew point is reached, further cooling will lead to formation of clouds, and later we can have rain. Understood this much? Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Are you there?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, sir.
Sir, you told that warm air contains more moisture.
See here, no, warm air has more capacity to hold the moisture.
Sir, so it means that humidity is more.
See here, it will depend on the water vapor content. But see here, this is there. Cold air has less capacity to hold the moisture. It has less capacity to hold the moisture. So what happens? If moisture is there in cold air, and if it reaches the saturation, the moisture will fall. Since it is having very less capacity to hold the moisture. So mainly we used to say cold air is dry. Okay. And warm air, it has more capacity to hold the moisture. Warm air has more capacity to hold the moisture. So it will, if moisture is more, it will hold the moisture without shedding. So for example, take it in summer. If in summer, very hot day, rain happens, the climate becomes very humid, very huge amount of moisture is contained. Okay, and that time this warm air has more capacity to hold the moisture. But see in winter, if rainfall happens, it doesn't feel that much humid as compared to summer. Not much humid because it is cold air. Because temperature is less, so it has less capacity to hold the moisture. Understood the difference?
Yes, sir. And sir, so the temperature increases, then air will be cold or warm
Okay. As
with
temperature
increased
increases,
temperature.
what we are doing? We are heating air. That means it will be warm air. As temperature increases, for example, we have taken cold air. Now we have started providing heat to it. It will start to heat. It will start to warm. So as temperature increases, the air is becoming warmer. For example, we took air as 0 degrees Celsius and we started to provide heat. Its temperature starts to increase. 5 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius. It means air is getting hotter and hotter. And hotter air has more capacity to hold the moisture. Okay.
Sir,
And
then
what? Yes.
Sir, then at lower temperature there must be more relative humidity. Why is it?
No, sir. No, it depends. See here. For example, okay, here we have. It depends where the air. Okay, for example, we are having warm air, and we have the oceans here. Oceans we have. Okay, here the land. Okay, here we have the interior of the land, very interior of the continent. So here, this warm air will contain moisture. Okay, and if this is also heated, here as well we have warm air, but no moisture. Air cannot get moisture here because there is no water body here or very less plants, or take it as desert. In desert, warm air is mainly dry because it haven't got any source to get the moisture. But see here, if it is near the oceans, warm air is there. It has the source to get the moisture. Moisture it can get from the oceans or from the plants or trees, it can get the moisture. Okay. So amount of moisture contained varies whether the air is at the same temperature. Here as well air is same temperature. Here as well, for example, air is at same temperature. But the amount of water vapor these airs are having, that is different. Okay, that will be different. That will depend on the uh, landforms here, plants and those also. It will depend, and how far it is from the ocean or any water source is there now. Here, no water source to get the moisture. So here, even the air is warm, but it will be dry. Okay, understood this one?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now clouds. We will be discussing now clouds. So there are different kinds of clouds you have seen in the sky. So according to height, we will divide those clouds in three. Three categories we will divide. Then in each categories, different kinds of clouds will discuss. So this is our ground surface, 0 up to 7,000 feet height. Then up to 20,000. It may vary, 18,000 as well. Some book they are written 20,000, and this is 40,000 feet. Okay, this is easy to remember. 7,000, 20,000, 40,000 feet height. So in three categories we have divided. Below 7,000 feet, we have the low clouds. Here we have the medium clouds. And here we have the high clouds. Okay, so we start with high cloud, we'll move towards low clouds. So first we have the high clouds, we have the cirrus clouds. Okay, and cirrus means wispy. They are wispy. Wispy, what does wispy means? Like we have taken the hairs, 4 to 5 hairs, and form one globe, one stand we have formed. Okay, so these clouds are like this, stands of hairs or little bit feathers like. Okay, so these are kinds of clouds. You can see as well in figure. Okay, open page number 128 in your book. Open page number 128 in your book. See figure 4.14.2. On the top cirrus clouds, you can see strands of like small lines are there, feathery like structure, wispy, feathery, F-E-A-T-H-E-R-Y. Okay, feathery like clouds are formed. These are called as cirrus clouds. These are called as cirrus clouds. Understood? Cirrus clouds. Now with cirrocumulus. So these are cirrus clouds, but cumulus. Cumulus means like we have taken. Okay, cumulus meanings will be what? They are round balls like a structure. Okay, like puffy, like you have seen the okay, you have seen the mare. Okay, rabbit, and its tail you have seen. That puffy like a structure. That will be the cirrocumulus. That will be the cumulus. Cumulus is heap-like structure. Like this is one, this is other cloud, this is other clouds, like this structure. Like first of, like we have taken the mare's tail and we have put it at different position. This is cumulus. So cirrocumulus, you can see small globe-like structures are there, arranged together in a group. This is cirrocumulus clouds. Okay, cirrus, wispy-like structure. Now cirrocumulus, globe, small globes of puffs we have put. Globes, that is spiral shapes. Okay, you can see those cirrocumulus. Now next is cirrostratus. So here stratus means layers. You are seeing the different layers. You can see the different layers in cirrostratus. One layer of wisp, then other layer, different layers are there, cirrostratus. So in high clouds, we have the cirrus, wispy feather-like structure. Now then cirrocumulus, prefix cirro will be used. Cirrostratus. Understood this one? These are high clouds. Now medium clouds here, prefix alto will be used. Alto means midway, middle. Okay. So alto will be used. Altocumulus, altostratus. Okay. So we have first altocumulus. Again, puff-like structure. You can see in altocumulus, small puffs have been arranged, or heaps of like heap or pile of structures is there. And altostratus, again the layers. Okay, these are altostratus. These
Sir, excuse me.
yes.
So, sir, these are same that cirrocumulus and altocumulus, and how we can distinguish these?
See here, mainly the difference of the height where they are formed. So above 20,000 height, there will be cirrocumulus. And very slight bit difference is there. Here, mainly small globe-like structure is there. And
But
altocumulus,
sir,
they are kind of same.
sir, but
Yes.
when we are looking in the sky, we are not able to see that what is the height.
Yeah, that's fine, but they are divided according to height. If they are formed above 20,000 feet, they are cirrocumulus. If below, they are called altocumulus. These are, see, alto means middle clouds. Middle cumulus, here cirro means like feather, like little bit more feather. Okay, they are divided with height. So see how we divide clouds on how they are formed. Their forms, what kind of form they are having, their shape and height. So these are the three parameters over which these clouds are being divided. Okay, forms, what kind of form they are having, what kind of shape they are having, and at what height they are. So if these clouds are formed at above 20,000, these are called cirrocumulus. Below 20,000, they are called as altocumulus. Similarly, stratus clouds. Okay, and very slight bit difference in the forms and shape. Okay, cumulus are there, stratus, cumulus, stratus. Very slight bit difference in that. Very slight difference. You can see as well cirrostratus and altostratus. Not much
And sir,
difference.
cirrus is also some same only to cirrostatus.
Yeah, slight bit same. Cirrus mainly they are west. Okay, any arrangement that can be there. Okay, and cirrostratus they are mainly arranged in layers. Little bit more layered it is. If these clouds are little bit more layered, they will call as cirrostratus. Very slight bit difference. Okay, this is one category. This is other category. And so according to height, one category, second, third. Now, according to form shapes, cumulus status. Okay, whether they are puff-like structure or whether they are arranged in layers. Okay, understood this one. Mid-level. Now low level. Low level, first we have the stratus clouds. That is, you can see the layers on the bottommost on right corner. Stratus clouds are there. These are stratus clouds. Now see on the left side, cumulonimbus. Okay, here one more word is there, nimbus. Nimbus means dark cloud or dark gray cloud, you can say. And it is mainly where we have the nimbus dark gray cloud, mainly we can expect that rainfall may take place. Nimbus, it is dark cloud, gray cloud. So nimbocumulus means cumulonimbus. Cumulo clouds are there, cumulus clouds are there. They are dark gray. That is, their water content is more. They are dark gray. They are called as cumulonimbus. Okay. Similarly, cumulus clouds, you can see those whitey feather-like structure. We have the bottom layer and then on top rounded parts like this. Cumulus. Okay. And behind cumulus here, nimbostratus clouds are there. They are contained with water. Okay, on top you can see stratocumulus. Again, you can see those cumulus clouds are little bit arranged in layers. Okay, this is the classification of clouds. Okay,
Sir, once more, can you tell about lower layer?
lower layers here mainly the stratus clouds. That means they are arranged in layers. Okay, now cumulus clouds we already understood. What are cumulus clouds? When cumulus clouds are in this layer and when they have the water content is more. when their water content is more, or when their shape form they are having dark gray. They are dark gray. Then these are called as cumulonimbus. When they are in dark gray color, they are having dark gray or dark color, they are called as cumulonimbus. Similarly, stratus clouds, if they are having dark gray color, they are called as stratonimbus. Nimbostratus, not nimbostratus, okay? And stratocumulus, it will be mixture of cumulus and stratus. So cumulus clouds, they are arranged in with layers. Little bit more layered they are, they are called as stratocumulus. Okay. And clouds, I think this is not in syllabus, cloud part. Okay. I'll check it again, but it is important we should study clouds. So we have studied how the clouds are formed. Saturation, dew point reached, then further cooling, clouds are formed. That is, water vapor condenses into water droplets. So condensation take place. Condensation take place at dew points. Further cooling will lead to condensation. Okay. So this we have discussed. Now see, we have to discuss a bit more. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, how we can distinguish between cumulonimbus and cumulus clouds? Because both are in green color. Both
See
contain
here,
water.
cumulus will be mainly in white in color. They will be white in color. If they becomes little dark or dark gray, then they are called as cumulonimbus. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If they become, you can see as well. See here, cumulus clouds. You can see those whitey part on the right corner, and see on the left corner. They are getting little dark. Dark gray. They are cumulonimbus. Okay. Now we discuss dew, mist, fog, and frost. Okay, what do you mean by this? So do you see you have seen in winters droplets on on leaves, on flowers, on grass, and on rocks as well. You have seen small droplets. That is dew. So what happens here in winter? In winter, the leaves, flowers, rocks, they are cold. During winter night, they becomes cold. So what happens? See here, when air is swept over those surfaces, air contains moisture, air get cooled as well. So what happens? The water vapor contained in air, it condenses, and small droplets are formed on leaves, rocks, or the stones. It is dew. That small droplets, they are called as dew. Okay. Now mist. What happened mist? See here, in atmosphere, mainly we have seen this mist, fog, frost. So mist and fog, mainly these take place in winter. They are much similar. So mist, what happens? Air contains moisture. Now air get cooled in winter. Mainly in winter, the surface is very cold. It get cold at night, and so air surrounding it, air near to the surface of the earth becomes cold. As it get cold, as temperature decreases, relative humidity increases. As relative humidity increases, the water vapor get condensed into small droplets of water. It get condensed into water droplets, and they get suspended in the air. And that is called as mist. And here visibility will be around 2 kilometers. Since water droplets are suspended in the air, the visibility decreases. So visibility is around 2 kilometers. And it's less than 2 kilometers. And fog, what happens? Condensation takes place. So small dust particles are there. Mainly in fog, dust particles are there, and water vapor condenses on those dust particles. And here, these two are mostly similar. And here visibility is less than 1 kilometer. Frost, what happens? If dew point is below the freezing point of water, so what will happen? The water vapor directly converts into ice. Ice crystals are formed. So you have seen mainly in agriculture, that is in farms, mainly in cold, where cherries and all others are grown, or the grapes or vines. Frost bites do happen. So in colder regions where the water vapor condenses below the freezing point. Below the freezing point, it converts into ice crystals, and ice is formed on leaves or on the fruits or the crops. And this damages the crops. Frostbites we have studied earlier as well. So crops get damaged when frostbite takes place. So ice expands
time
as
up.
it gets more. Okay, more and veins can be burst. Okay, this we'll discuss next time. We'll discuss precipitation, that is rainfall. Snow, hail, we'll be discussing those next time. Any doubt? Okay, any doubt you
No,
have, we can
sir.
discuss after 12:10 as well today. Okay. Okay, then thank
Sir,
you.
can we leave now?
Yes, you can leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.